I think with the ground drying, you're going to see him here in the Ballymore myself. Willie runs the big getaway. Robbie's going to ride the big breakaway. I think there's no doubt that Envoy Allen is the best of the Irish. Puppa, you've ridden in a good few of the novice hurdles in England. You have Sporting John, you have your own, the big breakaway, maybe Tyne Hill, Chantry House. What sort of bunch are they?
I think with the exception of Envoy Allen, the English novices are ahead of the Irish novices over all three distances. And I think Envoy Allen sets a huge standard here. It'll be very, very hard to beat. I think the big breakaway is very, very good. I just think for a 5-year-old, after only 2 runs on a race course, it'd be a huge ask for him to win this. If he does come out and win it, then he's very, very special, you know, because he's won twice and he hasn't come off the bridle yet. So it's tough for a horse to go to Cheltenham without having come off the bridle, and he's going to have to come off the bridle in this if he's good enough. But I think Envoy Allen will be very, very hard to beat. Ticks all the boxes, but I do it the big breakaway. I think he will be winning race at the festival.
Okay, if we move on to the RSA Novice Chase, and Leon, I'll ask you again, what's favourite, what prices and what you fancy?
Favourite at the moment is Champ. We're the biggest price Champ. We definitely want to take him on in a race of this nature over 3 miles, Novice Chasers. He does have a few quirks in him in our estimation, so we're going to take Champ on. Minella Indo for Henry de Bromhead, who was so impressive winning the Albert Bartlett last year. Never really settled for Rachel, but still won over 3 miles on the last day. Allaho, I thought his performance at Fairyhouse was absolutely exceptional. I thought the further he went, the better he got. And the Tizard horse, Copperhead, who was very good at Ascot the last day, probably very good because John Joe O'Neill Jr. rode him and not Robbie, but he was very, very good that day. But I'm going to go with Allaho. I think Ruby Allaho for me, maybe at the last run prior to his victory, enough use wasn't made of him, but I thought there was plenty of use made of him at Fairyhouse, and he loved being out in front and loved jumping.
The last run prior to his victory. That was his two runs ago in Leopardstown.
Yeah, Leopardstown, yeah.
All right, when he made all the running.
Yeah, but not enough.
Not enough. And then got tired.
Could have went a bit quicker up front.
And then got tired, right.
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering what race you're on about, that was all. I think Champ was an outstanding novice hurdle, and I think his fall in the Dipper will be a big help to him. I think he was getting a bit lackadaisical, a bit careless, and I think banging his head off the ground will have opened his eyes for him. Manila Indo hasn't done it for me personally this year. Lorena ran over him in Goran, and I wasn't that impressed with him in Navan. I do like Allaho, but he's also in the Marsh Chase. Copperhead is in there. Puppy, you wanted him 3 runs ago. Are you getting back on him, or is John Joe riding him, Harry Cobden riding him, are you riding him? Do we know yet?
He's won his last 3 starts with three different jockeys.
That's why I'm asking.
I don't know who's riding him.
Does he get to pick then?
I think, yeah, the horse gets to pick. If he gets to pick, he'd definitely pick me anyway. I think Champ is probably the lay of the week. None of his jumping has impressed me. The day he won in Newbury, the twice he won in Newbury, neither day did his jumping impress me. Ruby reckons the bang on the head will do him the world of good. I think if he get another bang on the head, he's going to be put under pressure. Now, the only thing that might help him is if going quicker makes him jump better, it might help him, but that doesn't always work out. A bit like Leon, I was impressed with Allaho in Fairyhouse. I thought he was impressive, but Copperhead the last day was very, very good. And if the ground does dry up as well, I wouldn't rule out Slade House as an each way bet, you know.
That's the one he's riding. He's not riding Copperhead.
I honestly don't know. I don't know. Slade House might go for the 2.5.
Yeah, right.
You can smell that, can't you? Ruby knows what's going on there, Robbie.
If it does dry up, I think Slade House would have an each way chance. He's a Grade 1 winner. He won the Cotto Star Novices in Kempton on Stevens Day with loads up his sleeve.
If he thinks Champ will end up on the floor again, that Slade House will be lying beside him.
No, he won't. No, he won't.
He could end up throwing on the jobbers here, lads, and getting out of it, I'd say.
I hope Champ doesn't bring me down anyway.
Oh, God. No, I'd prefer to ride in Champ now than Slade House. I think Robert has been brilliant on him a few times this year, and I think he's a fine ordinary jumper.
Yeah, we'll move on, lads, to the Queen Mother Champion Chase, and Leon, I'll come to you for what you fancy in favourite, but this could be the race of the week, couldn't it?
Yeah, it looks to be. The 3 of them, if they line up, fingers crossed they all do. Altior, myself and Ruby were at Newbury the last day, and I think both of us were impressed with him from the last, when he jumped the last and the way he took off to finish. Defi Desoy has done nothing wrong again, and Jacqueline Poursois, he improved from his first run of the season to win last time out against Min, who Robbie was on board, and Robbie said that they went a serious pace at Leopardstown. I don't know, Dunners. It's a hard race. I backed Chacun Poursois when he got beaten at Christmas at 7-1, so I'm happy. And I wouldn't swap him. You know, I'd stick with him. I think he's the young, improving horse. He's only still having his third run this year. Altior still has to improve because the horses he beat the last day at Newbury are not in the same league as Defi Desoy and Chacun Poursois. So, but I think if you ask the three of us, we'd probably all pick a different one. But I'm going to stick with Chacun Poursois.
Puppy, you won on Chacun Poursois last year in Portchester when he beat Defi Desoy. You've watched Altior a good bit. If you could ride one of them, where would you go?
I was very, very impressed with Chacun Poursois in Punchestown last year. To do what he did on his second run over fences was incredible. Defi Desoy, people argue that maybe he was coming to the end of a hard season. I'm not so sure. And I think now Paul might just be a little bit more patient on Chacun Poursois. He's a very strong traveller, and the race could set up in front of him, you know. I think Altior, he got the job done in Newbury, but he wasn't impressive. He's never overly impressive, but Defi Desoy then as well. How much do you read into the form with Undeso? How his form is with one against one horse. Undeso is 12. Is he coming towards the end of his career? Is his form as good as it has been in previous years? Right, rode Min in the race at Christmas, the Chacun Poursois, and at the Dublin Racing Festival, the Chacun Poursois won, and I thought it rode like a proper race. He came around me, it turned into the straight, hard on the bridle. Got a bit tired from the back of the last home, but when you go that relentless speed over 2 miles early on in the race, horses don't finish strong because the pace has been so strong. And I think if he's a little bit more patient on him, I think he could take a lot of beating it.
I honestly don't know, and I think when all is said and done, watching Altior from the back of the last in his couple of starts, I think whichever one of the two of them can get by him will end up winning. I just think, to me, he reminds me a little bit of Hurricane Fly as Hurricane got older. Altior's not as flashy as he once was, but he's still winning, with the exception of the race in Ascot over 2.5. He's still winning, and if one of these can get by him, it'll be a fair test of him. And I think, Donncha, that brings us to the end of day 2. We're about 3 minutes over a break, so we best take it.
Absolutely. We'll be back after this quick break. We're joined by Leon Blanche, Robbie Power and Ruby Walsh. We're here in Boy Cafe, so we're after getting out and about, and we're after going through a few of the races already. So Ruby, we might turn to the Thursday and the Marsh Novice Chase, and I might go to you on that, and you might kick us off what you fancy or what you think is going well.
I think it's possibly the weakest of the novice chases. Itchy Feet and Mr. Fisher are the best of the English. I don't know if William run Faheen here or not. I think if I was still riding, I'd really be encouraging him to run Allaho in the race, but I think he's going to go towards the RSA with him. But yeah, look, if Faheen was to go at 6-1, he's a good price each way, and that's probably 6-1 non-runner no bet, Leon, is it?
It is, Ruby, yes, 6-1 non-runner no bet, but I'd be more keen to take 5-1 Allaho non-runner no bet, because if he runs in this, he'll absolutely hammer them. It's as simple as that. He's way above Itchy Feet, he's way above Faheen, he's way above anything else in there. And Ruby kind of said that about the RSA. Maybe he'll go to Marsh. I'd love to take a chance in Allaho, non-runner, no bet.
I think that's good advice, because if Allaho does line up, he'll be favoured. 5-1 is a fair price. Puppy, have you went in this?
I'd probably ride Reserve Tank, dual Grade 1 winner over hurdles. His form over fences, albeit he's won a Grade 2, has been very disappointing. And we're holding out the hope that he's going to improve in the spring of the year like he did last year. His jumping needs to improve as well. So he's a lot of questions to answer. At 12-1, he's an each way bet. That's all he is on what he's done so far. But I think easy game, if the ground is decent, has a great chance in this race over 2-5. I rode him behind Faheen at the Dublin Racing Festival, and if the ground does dry up, which it could well do, if we start on Tuesday on good to soft ground, it could be very easily good by the Thursday. And he's such a quick jumper, 2 mile 5. I think easy game is a great each way better, 8-1.
Leon, we'll move on to the Ryanair Chase, and just you might give us the prices and what you fancy.
Yeah, a blue tard for Henry de Bromhead. Very impressive, winning the Novice Handicap Chase last year at the festival. Different course, obviously, for the Ryanair. He was on the Tuesday last year, 9-4 favourite. He beat Chacun Poursois at Christmas time. Min was second to Chacun Poursois in February. He's 3-1. Frodon, last year's winner, 5-1, and Riders on the Storm for Nigel Twiston Davis at 7-1. I don't see the winner Dunners coming out of them or outside of those 4 horses. I'm still impressed with the Plutard. I know people are kind of cribbing his form a little bit. He won a handicap, but he won it by 16 or 17 lengths. He beat Chacun Poursois. Yes, Chacun Poursois came on for his first run. Henry pulled him out at Christmas. Or not at Christmas, sorry, at the Dublin Racing Festival. He's going here fresh. I think he's got a real favourites chance at 9-4.
Robbie, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I rode Min in the Dublin Racing Festival. I think he wins the Ryanair. I was impressed with that day. I think stepping up in trip is definitely going to suit him. He didn't fire in Cheltenham last year for some reason, I don't know, but he was very, very impressive.
I'll tell you now in a second.
He was very, very impressive in Aintree. After that, he was unbelievable. So I'm going to go with Min. I think everything's in his favour. He's had a great prep. Everything's gone well. And as we get back to that Plutard, he won a handicap at Cheltenham last year. He is a better horse going left-handed, but I just think Min has proven Grade 1 form over the last couple of seasons. I think he's the one to beat.
Poppy, a friend of mine, has a bit of inside info. Ruby, what do you know?
I know I gave Min a shocking ride here last year, and that's why he ran so bad. That's how I do know that. I think the race is a stronger race than last year, so I can't see Frodon repeating it. I think Riders on the Storm was a lucky winner in Ascot on his last start. He actually fell in that handicap that Plutard won last year when he was trained in Ireland. He's improved a good bit in the UK, but still just can't quite have him as a Ryanair winner. I think it's a match between the 2 Irish horses, Plutard and Min. Min has been to Cheltenham 3 times. I know he's run into Altior on a couple of occasions, on all 3 occasions, but he just hasn't finished as strong in Cheltenham as he has at Punchestown or at Aintree. And I think a Plutard with his course form could just outstay Min.
I think Min's form second to Altior, the twice he was second to Altior, is good enough to win this.
Could well be.
Both them runs, and I think money back second or third to the favourite. It's between the 2 of them. I think Min's a great bet, 3-1.
It is a match, yeah. I think it is definitely a match.
Okay, Leon, moving on to the Stayers hurdle, maybe what you fancy there, and give us who's favourite and some of the odds.
Yeah, well, this horse probably will be a banker, Dunners. Not probably, he will be a banker. He'll be in everyone's kind of multiples and trebles and whatever else you want to do. Lucky 15, Yankees, Paisley Park. I was there trials day at Cheltenham at the end of January, and they didn't really go that quick up front. Summerhill Boy, I thought Johnny Burke gave him a good ride to try and slow it down and try and catch Paisley Park when he does hit a flat spot. But he went by the line and ears pricked. I think he had loads left in him. He's 4-6. We're going to go 4-5 tonight for anyone who wants to back Paisley Park. I don't know, like looking through it, you've got Benny the Jew and Champ who won't be in this race. So you take out the second and third favourite. You've got Emmeton, who was good the last day. Robbie rode in that race. I think he rode West Approach against Emmeton. Maybe he'll talk about that race, how it rode. But Somerville Boy is a Supreme Novices Hurdle winner. The one horse that I would say maybe each way would be City Island, going back over hurdles. He's a Ballymore Novice winner. He didn't take the fences. And Robbie's rode Penn Hill a couple of times. Ruby knows all about Penn Hill too. But I think this is a favourite that, barring a fall, Paisley Park should win.
Robbie, would you have that? Is Paisley Park unbeatable?
I'd say he is. The only thing that can beat Paisley Park is slow pace. Aidan Coleman rides him nice and quietly. And you watch back the race and trials, they actually, Johnny Burke was very, very good on Somerville Boy. He got Paisley Park off the bridle, got him caught flat-footed for a few strides. And I think it was Sean Bone came around on Harry Fry's horse to take Somerville Boy on sooner than Johnny Burke wanted. And I think if Johnny was allowed to slow it down for longer, you might have seen a different result. I don't think you would, but I just think the only thing that can get him beat is a slowly run race. And I think Somerville Boy, again, second or third to the favourite. The favourite is a certainty to probably win this race, and Somerville Boy at 8 to 1. If your money back for second or third, I think it's a brilliant bet.
What do you fancy, Ruby?
Yeah, look, it is, and he's an incredible horse, Paisley Park. But what do I think? I think it's a very difficult race, and I think jockeys can't team up and ride together as a team against one horse. So until enough riders form an opinion that the only way to beat Paisley Park is to actually follow him, and they're all going to have to follow him, until that day comes, Paisley Park's going to keep winning. It's not till the rest of them decide, well, there's no point going in front of him because I can't beat him, we have to go behind him. Eventually they tried that with big bucks, and big bucks ended up struggling and still just about winning, but they're going to all have to go behind Paisley Park. I can't see that happening. The races in England, a few of them will definitely want to go good and fast, so
especially on that new course as well. Where it's a long run from the second last to the winning post. They start racing off the bend. It's nearly half a mile from home still.
It's incredible how much galloping there is on the new course in Cheltenham. It's 7.5 furlongs with only 2 hurdles. The second last is 4.5 in the winning post, and people jump to second last. I think, whoa, it's the second last, time to go, and it's not really time to go in Cheltenham. But I think Bacardi's probably at 16 to 1 will be the one I'd put up each way. I think he's been freshened up since a disappointing run at Christmas. He beat Applegate earlier in the year when Robbie rode her, and I think he's just coming back to himself. But it's not a race. It is a race to back without the winner, because without the favourite, because Paisley Park is far too short. Anyhow, Leon, you've given us 4 €100 charity bets for the Irish and the Jockeys Fund.
Yep.
I know we're only finishing day 3, but Puppy, which one are you going to go with?
I'll have my charity bet €50 each way on Super Sunday in the Champion Hurdle at 12 to 1. Am I getting, Leon?
No problem. Here, we'll push it out to 16 to 1 for the Irish Injured Jockeys Fund. Yeah.
Fair
Go on,
play.
here, listen.
You're always good there, Leon.
You gave out when it was 20 to 1. You can have 20 to 1 each way. 50
And everyone in here tonight can have 20 to 1 as well.
That's the biggest share tonight.
There you go. Come on side, Robbie.
I think I'm going to keep it simple. I was so impressed with Appreciated, the bumper horse of trained by Willie Mullins. He won over 2.5 at Christmas, came back to 2 miles in the Dublin Racing Festival. He's a 13-day favourite for the Injured Jockeys Fund. We'll go 4 to 1, 100 win, Ruby. 4 to 1 Appreciated for the Injured Jockeys Fund.
Yeah?
No, for the Injured Jockeys Fund.
Oh, yeah,
for me. Yeah.
Your own bet, yeah. So I'll take the 4 to 1 Appreciated as well. And I'll put it in with Benny the Jew at even money.
Jesus, Ruby, leave it out. Go on, you can have it, Ruby. You can have it.
You said 4 to 1.
Yeah, I know, I didn't say even money, Benny the Jew. Go on, you can have it. Go on.
Come on, she's only 8 to 11.
No, you can have it.
Yeah, I'll double those.
Listen, without the jockeys, we've no game. So for the Irish,
I'll double those. I'll double that for 100 quid.
Brilliant. Fair play to you, Leon.
Yeah, whoa. Don't look, you for bet too.
Oh, whoa.
Listen, Dunners, we'll come to you at the end of the show. You can think about it. You can think about it.
I'm not much of a gambler, I'll be honest with you.
It's not your money.
What's Rachel Blackmore on? Give me her first horse.
She's loads of good chances. So she'll have Captain Guinness in the first. She'll have Notebook in the second. Don't know she's riding the Champion Hurdle. She'll ride Honeysuckle in the third. In the Ballymore. Does Henry event in the Ballymore?
Lovely.
Not that I can think of. The RSA. Manila
Indo. Aplutard in the Ryanair.
Manila Melody in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
bet.
the one. If you want one of Rachel's,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Yeah,
Very good. That's the one for me. It's getting the nod of approval from everyone here in Boy
11 to
Cafe
4.
at our BoyleSports Cheltenham preview.
11 to 4. You can have 5 to 1, 100 quid win. Manila Melody.
Leon, you're as good for looking out for me, boy.
We are, Dunners. We look after you.
Now, what are we going to double that with?
It's important though, lads, and you know, 2 guys to chat about it, but to look after, and Ruby have touched on it before with you, just the importance of looking after your injured jockeys. You're brilliant at doing it. You make an unbelievable effort to make sure that you don't leave anyone behind.
Yeah, sure. Look, the National Hunt Weigh Room is a very close-knit community, and everyone respects each other because of the danger of the sport. Ruby knows as well as anybody, and there's huge respect for each other in there, and as I say, I've often had falls when I've driven racing. There's lads always there offering to drive you home and look after you, bring your car and things like that there. So, no, every penny's much appreciated. It's a good cause.
It is that, without doubt. I am the chairman, so I can't plug it too much. Anyhow, it's time for another break.
BoyleSports Cheltenham preview. We're delighted to be joined by Robbie Power, Leon Blanche, and I can't say you, Ruby, you're always here, so we're nearly sick of you. Lads, we'll kick on and we'll turn to Friday.
I'm only here 2 nights a week. You're here 5 nights a week.
That's true, but I'm recovering for the other nights when you're not there. Sort of feels like hanging around with you is like doing a mauling session, I'll be honest with you. Robbie, I'll come to you. The Triumph hurdle on the Friday, who do you fancy in that?
Did you have to start with me for the Triumph?
Yeah. Is this above average renewal?
I'm not so sure. I thought Solo was very impressive in Kempton. How much do you read into the form? Again, I'm not so sure. He beat Fujimoto Flyer, who won a maiden in Killarney and won in France. I was very impressed by All Mankind in Chepstow. My only concern about him is if the ground is good. I don't think he'll go any quicker on good ground than he goes on very soft ground. He went a relentless gallop that day in Chepstow. I travelled up behind him on Cerberus, who's a Grade 3 winner, and came to win a Grade 1 at the Dublin Racing Festival and threw it away for some reason. I don't know. I didn't understand why he did that, but All Mankind absolutely killed him from the second last in Chepstow, quickened up that pace again and went again. He's a relentless galloper. Dan Skelton has said he'd probably bite over in a one-man party, but he's been holding it together for the time being, and until he boils over, I'd nearly take a chance on All Mankind. I think he's very good. I don't think Goshen jumps well enough.
Yeah, Leon.
Yeah, I was impressed with the Paul Nichols winner last Saturday. Paul has done this many times. They've won that race, and then they've went and won the Triumph hurdle. And the one thing about Solo was, to me, he jumped exceptionally well. He was really quick and really nimble over his hurdles. I think the UK youngsters are far better than the Irish youngsters, and unfortunately it'll go to England, and out of the front three in the betting it'll be one of them, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick Solo.
You might go through that. What are the prices there?
3-1 Solo, 7-2 Goshen, 4-1 All Mankind, and then 6-1 Aspire Tower. Aspire Tower was very good on his penultimate run. He got beaten the last day. Maybe he's the one from Ireland for Henry de Bromhead that could put it up to the English, but to me it looks as if the 4-year-olds from England are a little bit ahead of us.
Ruby, would you agree with that?
I don't know if I agree or not, to be honest with you. All Mankind, Robert has talked him up for his win in Chepstow. Chepstow's a front runner's track. It does suit horse to race on the pace, and I think it suited All Mankind. I do agree that Goshen has to improve jumping wise. He was out to his right in Ascot on his last start. That's not going to suit in the Triumph hurdle jumping outright. Not on this time of year. If you jump right, you're jumping out onto the old winter ground. It's actually a huge disadvantage. I thought Solo did well in Kempton, but it was his first start. We don't know enough about him. I don't know how the handicappers managed to rate him better than all of these horses off beating Fujimoto Flyer. I wasn't certain Aspire Tower was going to win watching it live in Leopardstown. Watching the replays, I think he may well have won when he fell at the last. But I'm actually a fan of the horse that ended up winning, and that's a way of it to see. I think with the nature of this race, with a front runner like All Mankind who's going to go hard, Goshen and Solo and Aspire Tower are all going to sit behind that and try and cover the pace. I think this race will turn into a slog, and the strongest stayer is A Wave of the Sea. And I think at a big price, he could definitely run into the money.
Puppy, would you agree with that?
Yeah, Wave of the Sea probably could pick up the pieces and he'd be ridden that way. And so will Cerberus this time now as well. They won't be getting to the front as soon on him. And All Mankind has won around Cheltenham as well, which is probably wasn't as good a race, but I think he improved a lot from that as well.
Yeah, he could have, but that was back in October, Robert, wasn't it?
November, wasn't it?
November, but it was on the old course.
Yeah.
Triumph Hurdle will be running the new track. I know that sounds quite technical for a lot of people, but there are two separate race courses in the one venue in Cheltenham. I know they're right side by side, but they're right completely different. The old course in Cheltenham is a faster, sharper track. The hill is much... You descend much sharper down into the straight on the old course, and then you don't climb as far back up. Whereas in the new course, you don't rise or drop as much, so the pace tends to be a bit more relentless. But that also draws out more stamina. And I think you see the horses with Cheltenham form. To me, it's which track they have the form on that counts. And All Mankind's form is on the wrong track for me.
Okay, very good. We'll move on to the Albert Bartlett. I might come to you, Leon, to maybe get a few prices and what you fancy in it.
Yeah, Tyne Hill for Philip Hobbs at the moment. Dunners is a slight favourite at 9-2. Monkfish for Willie Mullins is 5-1. Paul Nolan's horse. My idea of the winner is latest exhibition. He's 6-1. Harry Senior, who Robbie will ride, was good the last day at Cheltenham. To be fair, he's an 8-1 chance. I think he can take out the next three in the betting, and then it goes down to, looking at the betting here, Lord Royale and Ramsey de Tay are both a 12-1 chance. Look, I'm a huge fan of latest exhibition. You could crib his form when he beat Andy Dufresne, his penultimate start, but his last win at Leopardstown for me, when they didn't really, well, it looked to me anyway, they didn't really go that quick. I thought he was beaten, but the way he picked up after the last, I think this trip, and this is a real stamina test for me, the Albert Bartlett, and I think it'll suit him. And I hope for Paul Nolan and Brian Cooper that they're back in the winner's enclosure with a grade one. Two good lads, haven't been in that big winner's enclosure for a long time at the Cheltenham Festival, and it'd be great to see both of them, especially Paul. Love to see Paul Nolan lead in latest exhibition when he wins the Albert Bartlett.
Funny, Ruby, this is one, it's finally a race we found that you didn't win.
Cheers, Donegal.
You've won everything else, so it's brilliant to actually see that Ruby didn't win this one. I was there, no.
I'll tell you what's worse. I probably should have won it twice. I was good in ordinary in it on a couple of occasions, but should have won in Boston Bob and didn't shine in Allaho last year. But anyway, bygones are bygones.
Okay, what do you fancy?
I think it's an open contest. I think it's a very hard race, and I think it's a race that horses require an awful lot of runs and experience to win it. With the exception of last year's win in Manila Indo, all the previous winners have had a lot of runs under their belt. Tyne Hill was a good third in last year's champion bumper. He won the Challow Hurl in Newbury. He's done nothing wrong. Monkfish got beaten in the maiden hurl on his first start this year, but was very good in Thurles when he beat one of Gordon's that has won since, something Fred.
Run Wild Fred.
The Longhouse Poet of Martin Brazel's, he was behind the horse that Leon fancies latest exhibition in Leopardstown, and a lot of horses in that race are going to run. Latest exhibition, Cobbler's Way, Longhouse Poet, Fury Road and maybe Elixir Dane. So the first five from the Leopardstown race could re-oppose in Cheltenham, but it's a horse of David Pipes that I actually fancy, because I think he ticks a lot of the right boxes for the race, and that's Ramsey de Tay. 14 months ago, he was second in the Welsh National behind Elegant Escape. He's a really strong staying horse. He's a bit of age on his side. He's after winning his last two hurdle races. And I just think with his age and his experience and his guaranteed stamina, when a lot of horses have had enough fit in this race, he'll still be galloping.
Do you
So
see?
you're dropping the horse that you tipped on the road to Cheltenham and tipping the horse that Lydia tipped on the road to Cheltenham?
Yeah. I do listen to other people, Robert.
I think Tyne Hill. I think Tyne Hill is a very, very good novice. Has all the pace that travels, stays exceptionally well, and I think he's the one they'll have to beat. As Ruby said about Monkfish, his form has taken a good boost. I was very impressed with Harry Senior when he won on Trials Day in Cheltenham. stepped up to 2.5 mile. He's got some very good form with Sporting John, who beat him in Exeter over 2 mile. And I think stepping up to 3 mile will bring around more improvement for him as well. And I think he's got a good chance. But I think Tyne Hill's the one they'll have to beat. I think he's just a step above these. Good third and a very good Cheltenham bumper last year, unbeaten over hurdles. And that right attitude for a race like this, he's laid back, he races a bit behind the bridle, and he'll be doing a strong work at the end. I think he's a very good horse.
Okay, we'll move on to the big one on Friday, the Gold Cup. And we were always glad to see the Gold Cup, Leon, because when we were in Irish camp, Cheltenham was always on. But I remember one time training got moved because of the Gold Cup, and it was like nothing you'd ever seen before. Lads would train during anything, but when the Gold Cup was on, Declan Kidney had to rearrange training around it. A captain's run had to be moved around so that everyone could watch it. It's a special one.
It's called proper order.
I was too busy watching Murder, She Wrote, I'll be honest, Ruby.
That means you were asleep.
Well, Leon, Gold Cup, you might give us some of the prices and what's favourite and what you fancy.
Joint favourites at the minute, Santini and Alboom Photo, last year's winner, 7-2, Delta Work 5-1. Lost in Translation, he's a 16-1 chance. We're going to push him out to 8-1 tonight for anyone who wants to back Robbie's mount. Robbie will talk about him in a minute. Clanday's Oboe, King George winner, 7-1. Kenboy, 8-1. Percy is 10s. And then you're going down to the likes of Monolly and Bristol de May, who finished behind Santini last time out. They're 20-1 chances. I don't see why anyone shouldn't be with last year's winner. I think Alboom Photo, same preparation, went to Tremor New Year's Day, then went to the Gold Cup. He was very good in the Gold Cup last year. I thought he was even better in Tremor this year than he was last year. And I know he's 7-2 joint favourite now, but if you look at the Irish runs that Delta Work won, the 2 Grade 1s at Christmas and in February, there wasn't an awful lot between a lot of them jumping the last. And maybe he just does enough. He ran a good race in last year's RSA, as did Santini. Lost in Translation is the unknown because everyone was talking about him as the new kid on the block when he won at Haydock. But obviously he had problems in the King George, so maybe Robbie will enlighten us on that. I don't think Kenboy will stay the trip over 3 mile, 2.25 up that hill. Presenting Percy, I think he'll stay, but I don't know whether he's good enough. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with last year's winner. I just think Alboom Photo, there's no reason to crib him. So, for me, he's the winner of the Gold Cup again.
Puppy, when Lost in Translation won in Haydock, you must have been thinking, all roads ahead to the Gold Cup, but you've had a fair speed bump in the middle.
Yeah, he has, but sure, he's an animal. They have off days. He had been to Carlisle, won impressively. He had been to Haydock, won impressively. 3 weeks later, turned up in the King George and bombed out. He was flat as a pancake. I could have pulled up after jumping 2 fences. He didn't jump. His big forte is his jumping. He didn't even jump a fence that day. He was laboured, and for that reason, I think the King George was a terrible race. I think he was still there 4 out under sufferance. He should have been pulled. I should have been pulled up, turned into the back straight the second time. It was that I was that flat. He's had a little wind operation. He's been freshened up. His form around the new course in Cheltenham is exceptional. He won the Dipper there over 2.5, and then he was second. He beat Deffy Desai. He was second to Deffy Desai in the JLT last year. My only concern with him is if the ground is very soft. I think that'll catch him out over 3.25 mile on very soft ground. I definitely think he's a better horse on better ground, and I think he's a huge chance. You know, Alboom Photos probably deserves to be favourite. I don't think Santini deserves to be joint favourite with him. I thought Alboom Photos winning the Gold Cup last year was very impressive. I think it's a better Gold Cup this year. I think it's more competitive. I think there's more opposition to him, and I wouldn't swap Lost in Translation for anything else in the race. I think if he turns up like he did in Haydock or like he did in Cheltenham last year, I think he'd have a lot of beating.
And you'll be fairly sure he'll get 3.25 miles. I know it's 3-1 and a bit in Haydock, but it's dead level, dead flat track, new course in Cheltenham, and even on good ground. And the drier the ground, Robert, the faster they'll go. You still have to get 3.25 miles.
Yeah, I don't. The drier the ground and the faster they go, the more it'll suit him, because he jumps so well and he's got such a high cruising speed. I think a bit like Sizen John when he won the Gold Cup, he was doing everything in his comfort zone, where a lot of them won't be doing it in their comfort zone on good ground over going a faster pace. So the drier the ground, the happier I'd be. will he get 3.25 miles? He'll definitely get to the back of the last. If he get to the winning post, we won't know till we try it. But he gives me all the signals that he does.
Not so bad. Well, I'm going to still stick with Album Photo Donegal. I think, a bit like Leon, I thought last year's race is probably the strongest form. I don't see how Santini is 7-2 and Album Photo are 7-2 for what they've achieved in their lives. Santini was behind top of the game in last year's RSA Chase when Delta Work was third. Delta Work has been, to me, is the one horse that has improved throughout the winter in Ireland. He's improved from his first run to his second run to his third run, and he holds Kemboy and Presenting Percy on his Leopardtown runs. I know Paul Nichols is making a lot of good noises about Clan des Obo. I'll have to see it before I believe it, but he looks more of a flat track horse to me. Is the one worry I have about Lost in Translation too is the trip. 3.25 miles, we saw so many horses win King George's and win around Haydock that couldn't get from the back of the last.
He didn't win a King George.
He won in Haydock that couldn't get from the back of the last. Bristol de Mai could win in Haydock, couldn't get from the back of the last in the Gold Cup. It's a different track, it's a different race. Album Photo is the guaranteed stayer. I think Santini will stay, but I just think he's actually a bit slow, and he wants a pair of cheap pieces to make him quick enough. Is there anything outside of that that's a bit of value each way? I don't really see it, but there is always a surprise in the Gold Cup, and a horse that'll come from off the pace and be staying on, and public can tell you if he's running, is Elegant Escape.
No, not running.
No good, can't tip him then. But you will get something coming from off the back at a big price. It's not going to be Elephant Escape. It could well be Bristol de Mai.
The one horse, if ridden with a little bit more of the strength, that could be a good each way bet is Monolith.
Yeah, he'll have to be ridden with a lot of restraint.
With a lot of restraint, yeah.
I can't see that happening. It's Henry the Romphead trains him. He is called Henry, you know.
He is.
Anyway.
Obviously, Cheltenham's always a massive week. I know we're tight in time now, but it's the week. Normally, it's Ireland versus England and the rugby, and there's St. Patrick's Day around the corner. Robbie, I'll come to you. Just the importance of portraying our Irishness, going out there and nearly representing the country as well. Does that become a factor in Cheltenham?
Yeah, of course it does, because as Ruby alluded to earlier on, racing is not a team sport, so you're going over there representing your country, kind of. But more importantly,
glad you said kind of.
More importantly, representing yourself. It is. It's the highlight of the week, and look, everyone is looking forward to it. Everyone is praying that the coronavirus won't put a stop to it. But I can guarantee you, by Friday week, a lot of people will be hoping coronavirus had been called off for coronavirus. You know, that's the way it is. You know, every sport's the same. Every sport has its pinnacle, and the Cheltenham Festival is the pinnacle of national hunt racing.
Anyway, thanks a million, Robbie. Thanks, Leon. Donegal.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great night at the BoyleSports Cheltenham preview. And Leon, thank you so much. We're off. Tara Stewart's up next. If you want to follow us on the BoyleSports Facebook page, myself and Leon and Robbie will be there going through a little bit more. But thanks for joining us. Tara Stewart's up next. Okay, guys, welcome back to the BoyleSports Cheltenham preview. Again, a massive thanks to all the staff in Boyd for a great night. Thanks so much, really appreciate it. Hopefully, we're off the air so we can have a bit of crack, but we are on the Facebook page.